Hey guys, and welcome to Quality Shot. And I'm really excited to be joined by Alex Chan. And you may know him as Alex Chan Tennis on Instagram, of course, with over 14,000 followers. And he's also on TikTok, Clubhouse, and other social media outlets as well. Alex, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How about yourself, Jason?
Yeah, all good, all good. Of course, we were just briefly talking about Nadal, and we're both Rafa fans, so I think we're both very happy about that after the Australian Open win. But Alex, I mean, let's get straight into it. In
Sure.
terms of your like social media space and the way that you do things and the way that you work, um, first of all, how do you come about? I guess coming up with the idea for doing this type of content, and also did you see it as like a market that can be, I guess, exploited quite a lot? And how do you see it, not just for yourself, but for other people as well in it? Is it something that's growing and adapting? Because it seems like the content you put out there is quite diverse, but there's some humorous content out there, some really
Sure.
informative stuff. And I've been looking through it over the last few weeks, and it's quite interesting and definitely something that I think brings a smile to a lot of people's faces, I'd imagine.
So, right, I'm definitely a lot of good questions, a lot of big questions there that we can definitely talk a lot of. I can start with just how it began. Just we can start there. I mean, I've always, in one, one way, shape, or form, I've always been a part of some social media community. It wasn't always about tennis. Then I started my Instagram page was just more just like a personal page, but then I was thinking, okay, what if I would say I really love tennis. Tennis has been a big passion of mine. Let's do a page where it's all about just tennis specific. I always try to find ways to relate back to tennis on this page, and it just started off as more of a just kind of me. Like I just some background. I do work in the tennis industry, and so I come across a lot of different like tennis events and just things that I do just in my work. So I like to just kind of share that with the audience that I have. I mean, in the beginning, I was actually doing a lot more content where I just shot stuff at like some professional events that I went to. So I did more like a fan. Like, okay, here's like a video of, let's say, Nadal practicing at U.S. Open and all that. And that actually was good. I mean, a lot of people like that too. But it wasn't really about me. I was kind of, as I was doing it, I realized it was more like I was showing this content. People like it, but it didn't really showcase myself. So over time, I started to kind of introduce me more so in the content. And then I guess most recently, maybe the past year or two, because of the pandemic, I kind of spent a little more time into it. I started seeing some different trends across like other like other, I guess, niches besides tennis. And then I realized that in the tennis social media community, there's a great community out there, but you find out there's a lot of it is it's kind of there's like different groups of tennis folks that's on the community. There's some that are more like professional tennis based, like they kind of like their fan page, or they show content of professional like practices and so forth. That's kind of one area. There's an area where it's a lot of like aspiring tennis players that they're talented. They showcase their skills on court. We have some coaches that like to showcase their tips and tricks for teaching their students. And I could do a little bit of each of those, but I didn't think I was like, I mean, I'm not like the greatest tennis player. So I don't think I necessarily think that most people find so much value in just watching me play. So I think, okay, well, actually there's this other area where I noticed not as much content is really shown. It's kind of more like some more relatable stuff in tennis. And then some more, I mean, definitely tips and tricks, but not necessarily just related to like skill-based tips, more some like the mental aspect or maybe recommendations on what people should try to use and so forth. So I started just doing that for fun, and it seems like people like kind of digged it. So I just kept on doing that while still kind of experimenting here and there with different things. I still like to do some creative posts as well here and there. Like most recently, there was a post where I kind of turned myself into like a 3D model or something. I'm not sure you saw that, but like I always kind of like doing that. But yeah, that kind of came about. At the end of the day, I still do it more for myself. It's a fun hobby, but there's definitely certain perks to it as well. Like obviously, you see I'm wearing the Wilson hoodie here, so I have some different brand partnerships and so forth that we can talk about later. But yeah, that's kind of like a brief history. I guess on my
No,
uprising.
that's really cool. Yeah, I mean, you can definitely see your passion come through in the post. And yeah, I saw the 3D post as well, the little kind of reel, I guess it was on Instagram, which was really cool.
Mhm.
I was like, oh, need to figure out how to do that. That was quite cool at some point. But yeah, I agree. I think, like you mentioned, obviously there's a lot of coaches, especially like I guess Patrick Motroglou is the best example because he does a lot of social media about tips and tricks for what you should do as a player, and then it's very hard for people like us who like for example I play a bit as well. I play quite a lot, but again I'm not professional players, so to then give tips from a skill based level is really tough because you can't compete with these guys who clearly know what they're talking about. They are at that elite level. So the more relatable, I guess, tips and also the mental side is definitely. I thought when I was looking through, I was like, oh, yeah, I can definitely relate to that, and um, it's definitely I think a better thing to do for sure, and it's not as saturated. I think as well. There's not many people from what I've
Right.
seen that do something as similar to what you're doing, and I'm sure it will continue to grow as it does, given it's social media. But yeah, very, very
Right.
interesting.
And I would say that there's certainly a lot of potential for growth overall in the tennis community. And like I said, and that's a great thing. There is a pretty strong, decent tennis community where my main platform is Instagram. I have touched upon some other platforms like like Clubhouse. I haven't been on there as much in the past as recently, but that's one different community. And then like TikTok, I'm still kind of TikTok is still an afterthought for me so far for now. I kind of just post I usually post a reel on Instagram and then I might as well just repurpose it and post it on TikTok. Although like I do know how I could grow it more. It kind of goes back to like how much time can I spend on it and all that. That's where it kind of gets into it. But I have I definitely pay attention to different like pages like strategies and like what do they do to grow their content differently on different platforms. So I know how to do it, but it's kind of like it's work. Got to put the work, put the effort into it to get going. I'm still doing this for fun. If I had more time, I could definitely do more. But I really enjoy what I'm doing right now, especially in the Instagram community. It's great to kind of connect with different audiences to what I make and just learn new things that way too. Yeah.
Yeah, no, agreed. It's interesting for me as well. So I have some very, very short clips, and but they're kind of far and few between. So for me, TikTok's a bit of an afterthought as well. But yeah, for me, like it's podcast based really, and I do some live commentary as well for matches. So for tennis, it's quite a big one. So for example, I did some of the Rotterdam Open today for Felix's match, and then I do some for some other sports as well, but those are obviously longer videos that you have on YouTube, and then got some bits, of course, on that then I kind of advertise, I guess, on Instagram and say, look, this is been uploaded, etc. But don't have as much of the kind of shorter bits, but they're definitely more, I think, digestible for sure for a viewer, and especially on Instagram and TikTok's like huge. Everyone knows that. What do you think in terms of like your experience and like how it was like growing, especially on Instagram, I guess specifically because you said you use that the most. What do you find was the most challenging? Was it more about just finding specifically what works for you, like you mentioned? I guess finding that formula. Was it about knowing what, I guess, knowing for you personally what you could bring to an audience and actually what your USP would be around something that would be a bit different as well?
Yeah, I'm trying to think as far as like I said, at the end of the day, I still post for fun. I think there was a year where I just started slowly, like I didn't post as much just because life got me was keeping me busy,
Yeah.
and it was kind of around the time where I was starting to transition from what I was posting more so before, which was more like professional video clips I've taken as a fan. And I think I realized one of the things I was missing out was that connection with the community. When I was just doing that, there wasn't as much engagement like per se with those posts. There was a lot of views, but not really as much like actual conversation going on, connecting with other people. So I think for most actually creators, I would say that's probably the most difficult initially is to kind of find your niche and then find a community that can really, you can really kind of get in and just showcase what you do. I hear it from like other like creators. I would say that they don't have like they don't know how to find their community within their space. But I
Mm.
think that's probably the more like initially the difficult part. But once you kind of find it, that community can kind of help you continue to grow. They can provide feedback as far as what they want
Yeah.
to see, and they can provide like fun collaborations that you could do with them. A lot of like, opportunities that can come from that. It just kind
Yeah.
of takes some time sometimes for that to grow. Like I mean, I did this. I just do this for fun, but it's been kind of I've been slowly growing, but it's it's for fun. I know some people they can just shoot straight up from just starting, and then they create some great content and go up from there. It's kind of interesting with social media. Just like sometimes it just takes one post to really go viral, and it really kind of changes your social media life from there. You just don't know when
Yeah.
that can happen necessarily.
Yeah, 100%. It seems so random at times. But yeah,
Mhm.
it's almost like, have you hit the algorithm? Have you
Sure.
hit, like the right hashtags, etc., at the right time? And yeah, agreed. Like it can be, from what I've seen, anyways, it's like, for example, I guess YouTube as the example for us, for me, anyways. Like I'll see a channel that's, relatively similar, and they might only have like 10 videos, but they've got 500,000 subscribers, and you think,
Mhm.
whoa, they've just gone big straight away. It's just because their content's really good, obviously, but
Yeah.
they've also found a way to grow exponentially. It's because their first couple of videos have just gone viral because they've done it
Mhm.
on either relevant topics, given I guess what's going on, say, in the sport, and then also a topic or a video that people actually definitely are interested in, and it's something different people want to delve into as well. How much would you say in terms of like the news and things that are going on in tennis, for example? How much does that affect your content? Does it affect it much, or is it more okay, I might do like a fun little kind of reel on it, but it doesn't really have a huge impact?
Lately, not as much. I would say, yeah. Like I would, I think it's probably referring more to like professional, like things that happen in tennis world. Like for the most part, no. Like I made like a couple posts of that. Usually, I post on my stories really for my kind of my general commentary on the tennis world news. But for the most part, like, my content is more general. It doesn't really rely on the news necessarily. Um, so yeah, that's just for me how it works.
Yeah, which is good in a way, because it just means that you're not reliant on it, right? You don't have
Mhm.
to then kind of just ride on the wave. You know that you've got a kind of reliable like fan base, which it seems like you built, and they will be willing to watch. It doesn't matter what's going on in the tennis world. They're there,
Right.
which is quite interesting. And then how did, in terms of like, for people out there who are content creators as well, what would you say in terms of advice? Obviously, as you said, you're not doing it full time, but just something that's a hobby, something that you're doing on the side. What would you say is a couple of bits of advice you'd give them in how to start if they're thinking, oh, I want to start something,
Okay.
say on
Sure.
Instagram, because I guess that's where your
Sure.
kind of biggest home is. What would you say is the best?
Yeah. I would first I would say, like, depending on which social media that they're using, there's some different strategies for each one. So kind of keep that in mind for whoever starts something, and like maybe something you do, maybe your style of content creation might work better in one medium than another. So I think at the beginning I would say do a lot of experimenting. A lot of it is like you have to also post consistently. I would say, like, if you're really trying to grow your page at the very beginning, at the very least, you should be posting like pretty regularly. I think on Instagram, like at least once a day, maybe maybe once a day or once every other day at least. But you want to be appearing on people's pages, feeds, or potential reach that way. Uh, and especially nowadays, you want to try to use more short form video content as Instagram has become more and more video based versus like static image based. I would recommend taking advantage of whatever Instagram is pushing out right now, which is like Reels. They should make those type of short form content. And the good thing about those short form video content is that it can be repurposed to TikTok, to now like YouTube Shorts, and Snapchat even. So you can repurpose it a lot more. But I would say a lot of it is just kind of, you have to kind of start creating consistently, and you might not find your niche right away. That's why it's good to kind of experiment. And I think that's one thing. Like I would say, TikTok would, if I had time and I really want to push myself to be a a TikTok user, that would be something that I would do on there. I would just throw out like a lot of people say they recommend like posting multiple like 3 to 5 things on TikTok a day initially, just to kind of push out, because just the way that the TikTok algorithm works, it just does a good job pushing out the content. Even if you don't have as many followers, it can push it out to a wider audience. And if you don't put stuff out there, then you don't have you have just less chance to things to be caught on. So general recommendation is to post consistently. Of course, you want to post stuff that you want to post, because otherwise you're going to feel burnt out very easily. So like if you're, I think very common, some people might just post like only trend videos or something. Trends are fine, but if you're not kind of relating to a centralized niche of yours, then why would people want to follow you unless you're like super duper funny, or I guess super duper attractive? That's not like if you're attractive, then you probably don't have to worry as much about some of these factors. But yeah, as far as content goes, yeah, you have to kind of post consistently. And then the other part is you want to try to build that community. So you want to, I see people sometimes they post stuff, they put it out there, and there's like they don't get much comments or feedback. It's also because they haven't actually gone out to check out other people's pages or leave other comments on other pages. They're not engaging with the community. So why would they engage with you? So unless you're like a very superstar like creator, you're gonna have to do some of that to put your face out there and connect with people on in that sense. At the end of the day, it's still a social media. It's not like it's not an ad. You just post something and then people will flock to it. So that's another thing I would tell people. You have to put in some work and actually try and engage with the community as a whole. And that's hard.
It is. Yeah. I mean, I've had I've had the channel for just over a year now. We've got just over 2,000 subscribers. So it's not bad, but yeah, like the initial hard slog is really, and it can be disheartening because you post out a couple of you post a video out there and it might only get 10 views at the start. And, oh my god, I've spent 45 hours, I've spent an hour and a half shooting the video, then editing it, etc. And then you post it and you don't get much. So I think it's about getting through the initial and you said it as well, it's bringing in that initial hard yards, and then you do get somewhere, of course. It's always, as you all know as well, I'm sure that it's always hard work, even if it's a hobby. Making sure that it's regular content still takes some type of effort involved, but it's definitely, I think, rewarding as well after. And talking of rewarding as well, I mean, of course, you're wearing a Wilson's hoodie, and do you want to talk a little bit about your, I guess, your brand partnerships you have and how they came about as well?
Sure. I mean, that was a happy byproduct of what I was doing. So over the years, I would have more smaller partnership with different brands. It was usually more gifted partnership where they send me like a T-shirt or a product, and then I would post some content that features a product. And I know one thing I would also let people know when they're doing this stuff is, for me, whenever I do partner with a brand, I want to make sure that I actually do believe in that brand. I don't want to just post something because they're giving me a lot of swag or a lot of money or whatever for it. Because at the end, your followers will know if you start to become fake and post stuff that you don't really believe in. So that's another tip for creators, to make sure you're still kind of staying true to yourself. But yeah, Wilson is my biggest partnership that I've had so far in this. My Instagram as a content creating career. So I do the most posts with them. They typically would send me some campaign that they're doing. Like coming up, there's going to be a new campaign. I guess I can talk about it. It's about the new Clash that's coming out. So we're doing some promotion for that right now. But yeah, I mean, they have always been very good to me. They're great. I think Wilson Tennis did a great job in their social media strategy on Instagram in particular. If you look around, there are the other brands, they have some stuff out there, but it's not as strong as what Wilson Tennis does. They've done a lot of they create a lot of brand ambassadors, and they really create that community of people to speak up on it. And you'll see a little bit from Head and Babylon, but it's just not exactly the same. You just don't see as much of it. So I want to give kudos to Wilson Tennis for doing that. And I can see it in some other pages too. Like you can tell like certain brands they know what they're doing, like how to market to their audience. Yeah. So yeah. Besides that, I mean, I've had other brand deals here and there. Like my long-term brand deals have been like Wilson. Luxon Strings is part of Wilson too, but that's also another partnership I have. And I would have like some one-off brand deals here and there that you if you look through my page, you'll see them, and they're great stuff too. Like I mean, everything that I've done for brand deals are things that I would personally would recommend. I would never, I wouldn't post them and say, oh, I don't believe in this, and I wouldn't tell them to do it, use it. So yeah, I would say again, stay true to yourself. I don't want to just say, oh yeah, this is great just because they're giving me free stuff. It helps. It's great. It's nice that they give me free stuff, but I want to make sure it's actually good stuff that I want to share it to the audience for them to check out too.
Yeah, exactly. So I've had a lot of people reach out for like male kind of like jewelry, so like bracelets and stuff, and I don't wear any of it, so I just say I'm not the right person to kind of do it, right? Because if I could wear it and I can put it on, and then really I don't believe in the product because I don't wear it myself. I just not really the type of person I am. Whereas for someone else, I'm sure it would be, and it's something that I'm sure they could definitely show passion for. So yeah, we'll see, but definitely interesting. Whereas, for example, Tennis Manager 21, so the game, they reached out to me to do some commentary, and so I did some commentary for them. Yeah, which is quite cool. The game, so that was really cool. But yeah, so and I was like, yeah, this is great. Like, I downloaded the game and I was playing it, and I was like, actually, yeah, of course, I'd love to do that. And so that was, that was pretty cool. Got onto that as well. Thanks for being on. Before we wrap up as well, I mean, we talked at the start about Rafa, so I'll get your quick thoughts on it. I mean, we said that it was a surprise, I think. They'll show you an open win, 21, and now finally, first in front in the Grand Slam race as well. What do you think, first of all, of the result, and what do you think? Can you go on and win Roland Garros as well? Make it 2?
Yeah, so like we talked about earlier, like I was pleasantly surprised by the results. If you can see by the background, I'm a big Nadal fan. He's the same age as me. We're both left-handed. It might be the only comparison between us two, but like I was always been a big fan of him, and I like Federer too, and I think and also Djokovic. I think as a tennis fan, we've been very lucky to have these great players around. But I always had an affinity to Nadal. I think I'm starting to get a sense actually from a lot of like Nadal fans. I think like the fact that he won Australian Open, the one tournament that he's been the worst at of the 4 Grand Slams, and after he had COVID not too long ago, and he's been injured, and he had all these young guns that were challenging him throughout the tournament. It wasn't easy for him. He still made it. Like we're very content in a way. Like if he were just to stop right now, we would feel content that he. I mean, maybe that's more me, but I feel content with his success so far. I still think like Djokovic, I think he definitely could he could definitely surpass Nadal as far as Grand Slam titles goes. But I think the argument about who's going to be the greatest of all time, it's still going to continue. There's so many factors in it. I personally, I'm just glad we had these 3 really great players of all time playing at the same time, and it's and there's some really hardcore fans for one or the other. I can see it, but I don't know. But Nadal, I mean, just based on his just him being Nadal, and he won this recent Grand Slam, and he's obviously a king of clay. I think he could at least be in contention for the Roland Garros for at least a couple more years, as long as he's not injured or anything. I think he should still be a likely chance, a likely bet to win Roland Garros, and he can still compete for the other tournaments as far as I can tell. I just think you cannot count him out, especially now that he had won at 35, Australian Open. Now it's okay, almost anything can happen, unless something really he just drastically you get a big injury. I don't think you can count him out right now. But with that said, I think Novak it's still very much going to most likely get another Grand Slam title and probably possibly more. So I imagine that could happen. Federer, I'm less optimistic for him that he will get a Grand Slam. I hope so. I mean, it'll be kind of like it'll be nice to see him win Wimbledon again, but he had more uphill battle for sure up to 3. So
yeah,
we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, yeah, he's 40 now and he's had 2 knee surgeries, so I think it's going to be difficult, unfortunately. But who knows? Who knows? If anyone can do it, it'll probably be him. But yeah, my prediction is he probably won't win anymore. And yeah, I agree. Like Nadal after winning the Australian Open, like I thought his, if he was going to win a hardcore Grand Slam, it might be the US Open. But his best bet was kind of Roland Garros for the next few years, and I wouldn't expect him to win anything else apart from maybe Roland Garros. And the fact that he won this was like, wow, incredible. But as you said, Novak, I mean, will come back strong, I assume. So, and the GOAT debate is one of those things. I mean, on my channel, there's so many people, so many strong, hardcore fans for each player. And like, we're both Rafa fans. Well, I think from what I hear from you as well, we can both appreciate the other 2 players, and we know they're great as well, right? And these 3 are probably the greatest players of all time. Whoever you want to say is the greatest is up to you, and I feel like it's quite subjective unless someone finishes on, say, like 30 slams and the rest finish on 21-20, for example, 20-20. Then maybe, but that's probably not going to happen, right? It's going to be a matter of potentially maybe 3 or 4 maximum, kind of in between first and second. So it's going to be tough, I think. But we're in a great generation. We should be lucky. Well, we are lucky. We should definitely be grateful for it. So maybe we can leave it at that, to be fair. Very, very, very good way of putting it, I think. Thank you very much, Alex, for being on. Is there anything you want to touch on before we wrap up?
I think, no, I think it was good. I appreciate you having me on here, and yeah, one thing I would say, just definitely for those out there, to check out the tennis community on Instagram, where I'm mostly at. There's a lot going on right now. There's a lot of great creators out there. So you check me out at Alex Chan Tennis. But yeah, hope to engage with you in some shape or form.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, I'll put your links to your social media as well in the description. So of this video, this will be on our YouTube channel. Also, it will be on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Anchor as well. So,
cool.
But yeah, the links for Alex's social media will be on there, and I'll put it on my Instagram as well. So then, if Alex wants to share it, if he's so kind to you, then we can get out there as well.
Yeah, excellent. No, I'll love to share it.
Sounds good. No, thanks again for being on. Really appreciate it. Guys, stay safe and well. And yeah, do check out Alex's content, and speak to you soon.
Yes. Thanks. Hey, everyone. Bye.